Hello, Notre Dame fans. Mike Singer, Jack Soble, Tyler Horka, live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel on a different day and a different time. That's on me. I apologize. Thank you all for still tuning in to this week's Notre Dame six-pack show. Please hit the thumbs up on this video if you're not too mad at me, and subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. Of course, blueandgold.com, your home for all things Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. And it's time to huddle up, Notre Dame fans, because tailgate season is here and no one's going to get you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store. And if you're in the Hoosier State, there are 8 across Indiana, including a new one that recently opened up in Mishawaka. You're going to be able to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. If you don't have an Academy location near you, that's all right. Go to academy.com and shop online and check out gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. So gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Boys, I trust that you are well, so we're going to go ahead and dive into the topics for today's show. And the first one is the defense. Last week, Jack, I think the title for this topic was, are the defensive improvements real? Now it is defense fixed. What are your thoughts here, Jack?
I think we need to see them do it. Sorry, I got to clear my throat. I think we need to see them do it against an elite offense in USC. But for now, I think I believe it. Like, it's not like they've been bum slaying in the past 3 weeks. Like, they played an Arkansas team that was top 5 in the country in a lot of offensive statistics, including points, of course, and they beat them handily. They didn't allow any points in the second half. Then they played a couple of quarterbacks, and Maddox Madsen and TJ Bailey, who are like, no one's going to mistake them for elite, but they're not bad either. They're solid quarterbacks, and Notre Dame made them look a lot less than that. So I buy the progress, but obviously their toughest test is this week against USC.
Yeah, and along those lines, 2 years ago, what was their toughest test? Was Caleb Williams, probably, and they made him look as mortal as he has ever been in a college football uniform, and Notre Dame ran away with that game 48-20. The circumstances are different, the rosters are different, and all those things, but I bring up the comparison because the Notre Dame defense of 2023 and 2024 was able to completely make opposing quarterbacks look unlike themselves, like unrecognizable in a way. And Taylon Green, unrecognizable. Maddox Madsen, unrecognizable. CJ Bailey, unrecognizable. I mean, they were so in his head that you have aptly pointed out a few times now, Jack. He was intercepted on a throwaway. He was literally trying to throw the ball away. And I believe that was Kingston Viliamuasa who said, nope, I'm just going to take this and give the ball back to the Notre Dame offense. And that's another way that I want to spin this conversation on the defense as well, Jack, is those guys like Kingston Viliamuasa, Drake Bowen, you can put in that category. Boubacar Traore, for sure. Leonard Moore, absolutely 100%. They are showing up time and again, making plays where it's like, oh, dude, like Notre Dame has the superior personnel on the field when it's matching up against, like you said, pretty good offenses, but Notre Dame's defense is just that much better because of the players that it has. Now it's understanding the schemes, all of the different things that make a defense good. Like Notre Dame is checking the boxes now. So defense fixed for now, yes, because like I said, those boxes are checked and this group looks really, really good right now.
You mentioned the linebackers, Bowen and Viliamuasa. That was their best game. NC State was their best game, and it's not particularly close. Like the way they play downhill, they're instinctive. They play fast. Osbury, I noticed him a couple times in ways I did not notice him in real time. He had a great game. Bowen and Viliamuasa, of course, we've talked about. They're just really playing at a high level right now. You're right. They got some hunters on that team. The secondary is playing man coverage much stickier. True freshman nickel notwithstanding. The defensive line, aside from Traore, Traore is the only great player there right now, but there are certainly a lot of good players right now. The depth is real, even if the top end talent might not be where some teams are. But yeah, all those things, by the way, you could say about the defense in 2023 and 2024. The linebackers are awesome and playing downhill. Secondary is matching up man-to-man. Defense is creating pressure by committee. Defensive line, excuse me. It's it's just all reminiscent of the hallmarks of what made them so good the past 2 years are starting to show up, and that makes it feel real. And I do wonder if I'm really excited to talk to spoiler alert, I should say. We're talking to Chris Ash this afternoon, shortly after we get off here. So I'm really curious to ask him about this. But my theory is they were just kind of putting in too much in the first few weeks, and that caused them to not play fast. And when they started to dial it back, I think that's when you really let the players shine. And we shouldn't, by the way, discount the job that Chris Ash is doing right now. Because you look at some of the blitz packages he's designing, like the Jalen Stroman sack, I thought was brilliant. The twists, the game he had the defensive tackles run, occupied all three interior defensive linemen, and boom, here comes Stroman up the middle untouched. I thought that was diabolical on Chris Ash's part. So he obviously deserves a lion's share of the credit for what's going on.
Let me ask Tyler a question as we wrap up this topic. I think the defense can allow 30 points against USC. It's a really good offense, and it's still not the defense is broken. This was fool's gold the last 3 weeks. That's my opinion. Do you share the same one, Tyler?
Yeah, not all 30 points are created equal, as dumb as that sounds, because the score is the score. The Purdue 30 points felt bad because 23 of those came in one half, and it's Purdue, and that's coming on the heels of 41 against Texas A&M, which, by the way, that was bad too. But 30 against a USC team that has one of the best quarterbacks in the country, might have the best wide receiver pound for pound for sure in the country. The running back situation is tough. I know we're going to talk about USC here in a little bit, but they lost their two best running backs. So I think Notre Dame has to like that going into this game. The fact that you don't have to play Wayman Jordan, and I forget the other guy's name, but Eli Sanders maybe.
Eli Sanders.
Yeah, he was playing very well. But yeah, Mike, that's the thing. You afford yourself some 30-point games with as many 7-point games as you have on your ledger. Back-to-back 7 points. I don't care who you're playing. That's very impressive. And we talk about Notre Dame's 2024 defense as being one of the best we've ever seen at Notre Dame, perhaps. And guess what? The Irish gave up 35 against USC, and nobody lost their minds because USC's talented and all that. So yeah. You're on to something there, in that they've bought themselves some equity.
Jack, I know you have an opinion.
I would agree with that.
Okay, all right, there we go. Makai Lemon Solutions, E-Rock says, put more on Lemon. That's something Freeman was asked about on Monday. Jack, do you what are the solutions here? And then comparing him to Malachi Tony, curious if you have any takes on that.
Tony's probably a better pure athlete, a little quicker, probably a little more track speed. But as far as playing the wide receiver position, no one is doing better than Makai Lemon at the current moment in college football. I mean, he's the kind of guy. I was talking to Eric McKinney with We Are SC on 3's USC side, who I've worked with Eric a lot in the past couple of years. Great guy, great writer. But he was saying he's very similar to Amon-Ra St. Brown in that there are probably going to be 8 receivers drafted ahead of Makai Lemon that Makai Lemon is better than, because he's not going to run the fastest 40. He's not the biggest dude, but the body control, the game speed, the route running that he has, it allows him to play a lot bigger and a lot faster than he is. And we should also clarify that Makai Lemon isn't purely a slot receiver. He plays about 2/3 of his snaps in the slot. As far as the solution, putting Leonard Moore on him is part of it, but I don't think it is all of it. I don't know if putting Leonard Moore in the slot the entire game is the best idea for Freeman's, for reasons that Marcus Freeman said earlier this week, that don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul, don't want to delete the advantage you have in having Leonard Moore take away half of the field. I think there are a couple situations where you do want to put more on Lemon. You want to do that on key third downs, and you want to do it in the red zone, because he really does some of his best work in the red zone. Some of the slot fades they have him on, even just the fades from the outside. Just fantastic work. So I think that's an area where I want to see a number 15 on number 6.
Yeah, for sure. There's going to have to be some instances where Moore follows him around a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be a complete shadowing. It's Chris Ash and Marcus Freeman are just going to have to coach that up. Mike Mickens, whoever's involved, be okay, this is what we need in this situation, type of thing. You want more on Lemon as much as you can, but you want less of Lemon. That's for sure. By the way, here's a comp that I just came up with literally right now because I was intrigued when you said it yesterday, Jack, when we were speaking after the Marcus Freeman press conference. You threw out a bunch of names of receivers who play like beyond their stature. I think Justin Jefferson probably does it as well.
It's like the 5'11" to 6'1" inside outside guys who have great body control and run great routes. Like that's the kind of receiver that's dominating the NFL right now. If I was an NFL team, I would be all over Lemon.
And you know the one that came to mind who was college football superstar, but you were like, when it was happening, I don't know about the NFL. And then he went to the NFL and turns out he was a freaking rock star there. 5'11", 175 in college. Tyler Lockett, I think, is a good comp for Makai Lemon, just because it's like you look at him and you're like, he's not the fastest, he's not the strongest, but you put him out there and you ask him to play football and catch footballs and tear up defenses. He did it. Makai Lemon is doing it right now. Like it just happens for him, and he makes it happen.
I would say Lemon is a lot more physical and less of a pure deep threat than Lockett was, or at least Lockett is in the NFL. I assume this comes from you covering the Big 12 back in the day.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Lockett was like in college, but I think Lemon's a more complete receiver than he is in the NFL. He's definitely a lot more physical and tougher. The toughness is what really stands out. I mean, he's got dog in him levels turned up to 100. As far as other solutions, like I like what Marcus Freeman said about kind of mixing up the looks you throw at him, like because you know USC is going to mix up the looks that they throw at Notre Dame. Like that's a big reason you can't just shadow him the entire game with one guy, because they're going to line him up in so many different places. At a certain point, your defense gets confused enough that it just doesn't work anymore. Tyler had something.
Yeah, here's another thing though. He is going to line up in the slot a lot because I think Lincoln Riley is going to recognize that Notre Dame might be weakest there, especially if Devonta Smith is not playing. So if you're Notre Dame and Chris Ash, please help Dallas Golden as much as you can. Like safety, linebacker, whatever it is, make things a little murky and muck things up for Makai Lemon, because if you don't and he's one-on-one with Dallas Golden, then you saw what NC State's was it Terrell Anderson who caught the touchdown pass?
Yeah, I think it was.
Lemon is absolutely capable of that type of play and much, much more. So I think Dallas Golden's going to be a really good player for Notre Dame, but right now he's still figuring it out. Like Notre Dame is still figuring out that slot corner position. So please give it some help in this game, because Lemon will tear that up if he can.
Right. That's why you can't run the same look every time. Like you can't play man the entire game as much as you want to if you're Notre Dame. You also need to trust Christian Gray a lot in this game. I don't think that's going unsaid. I don't want Christian Gray on Lemon whatsoever, but I do think he's going to have to take Jacoby Lane, the 6'4" receiver who caught 3 touchdowns on Notre Dame last year. It's funny, he caught 3 touchdowns and nothing else on Notre Dame last year. But I like the matchup of Gray on Lane better than I like Gray on Lemon, because when Gray's gotten hurt, it hasn't been with size and length. It's been with speed and quickness. I think Moore is better equipped to play in the slot just because he's a little more fluid. But I mean, you're going to need a big game from Gray because Jacoby Lane is a really big threat too that we're not talking about enough, because Makai Lemon is awesome, but Jacoby Lane is someone who Notre Dame is going to have to be concerned with as well.
USC is going to move the ball and score some points, guys. It's just just bend but don't break. Same old USC, Tyler. Like, is this a USC team that we've seen come to South Bend and it's going to be like a 48-20 game, or do you think this USC team is much improved? From years past. Like Notre Dame's definitely got the better of this team. But the last time USC beat Notre Dame was 22.
That was 23. It was the Watts game.
No, the last time USC beat Notre Dame was 22. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When they came to Notre Dame.
Okay. Yeah. Ty, what do you think?
Yeah, it feels pretty similar, Mike. Like the offense is great. Lincoln Riley has a quarterback that he trusts. That's what they lean into. That's their identity. But is it a house of cards because they can't keep up on the other side of the ball, or they just don't have like all the pieces together? The Illinois game showed me that they're susceptible to getting beat by like Illinois is probably a good Big Ten team. It's not an elite or great.
Especially going on the road to the Midwest. That's what trips me up about them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is not their wheelhouse, that's for sure. And it's not going to like be freezing cold or anything in South Bend on Saturday night, but they have to make that trip, and Lincoln Riley gets whiny about making that trip, and They'd rather be playing on the West Coast, and that's where they play their best football for sure. That's why they were in that game against Notre Dame last year. You saw it 2 years ago, like Jack mentioned, when they came to South Bend with the best quarterback in college football at that time, for my money. And by the way, he just won another football game last night. That same quarterback did. I know Jack is happy about that.
The flag's never coming back. They're 3-0 since the flag came down.
Keep that flag down is what I'm saying.
Flag staying in the closet.
Yeah, and Jaden Mayava's good, but he's not Caleb Williams, and Notre Dame beat Caleb Williams in a similar spot like this. So this is more about USC, this segment right here. But yeah, to answer the question, same old USC. It feels like it. Like they're 5-1, they're ranked. By the way, I'm not sure how good Michigan is. So if that's what USC is hanging its hat on right now, like, oh, we just beat Michigan at home. Okay, congratulations, Sharon Moore. Like, I don't know what that program is right now. They have a freshman quarterback. There's a lot of things not to like about Michigan. So congratulations for winning that game. And I get it, the USC fans are going to say, well, who has Notre Dame beaten? But just looking at this game.
On some level, they'll be right about that.
Yeah, they are right about that. But Notre Dame, I feel like, is a more talented football team. If you read my on paper, Notre Dame is a better coached football team. And I've said it last week. I'll say it again right now. Notre Dame, since that USC game, 2023, a record of 23-5 with 9 ranked wins. USC, a record of 14-12 with 3 ranked wins. It feels like the same USC to me. Like, I would not be shocked if Notre Dame won this game semi-comfortably.
I'll push back on the Michigan thing a little bit, because while this clearly isn't a great Michigan team, this is a Michigan team that can run the ball and stop the run. And that's always been USC's concern. And I think in talking to Eric yesterday, that was a big hurdle USC needed to clear in, like, beating a tough old school Big Ten team is something that they didn't do last year. Like last year, their best win outside after the first game was Nebraska at home. And it's like the Michigans, the Minnesotas of last year, like obviously weren't great football teams, but teams that could run the ball, up the middle and stop the run. USC did both those things really well against the Wolverines. So I think that was big evidence that it's not exactly the same USC team. But the big question, as both of you guys alluded to, is can they do it on the road? And that is the big hurdle that they still have to clear. So I think I picked Notre Dame by about 10. It would probably surprise me more if it was closer, or it would probably surprise me more if it was more of a blowout than if it was closer, because this team can score on anyone. It is a much more complete offense than we've seen. They were able to run the ball last year. Now they're willing to run the ball. It's not exactly what Lincoln Riley wants to do, but like they will run the ball. They're not like bottom of the country in rushing attempts. You got something to talk?
Yeah, we don't know what their running game looks like with this personnel, though, right? Like losing Wayman Jordan.
Yeah, we do. Their third string walk-on had 18 carries for like 150 yards last week.
Is that the King kid?
Yeah, that's King. Yeah.
Okay, but like their number 2 running back coming into this game has 10 carries this season. So
I think you're making way too big of a deal about the running backs getting hurt. I think what we saw last week. From the line and from King Miller for crying out loud. Like, I think, and also they only need that to be the complement to the passing game, where they have a massive mismatch in the slot. So I'm not concerned whatsoever about the running back injuries if I were USC. Speaking
of massive mismatches, USC allowed 331 yards through the air to Illinois.
That's their biggest concern for sure.
USC ranks tied for 105th nationally in yards per attempt. CJ Carr is the number 2 quarterback in the country in yards per attempt. I think Notre Dame puts points aplenty on the board in this game. You have it as a 10-point game. I have it as a 17-point game, so I have the 1 touchdown there. That can be a swing touchdown, though, Jack. You know how these games go. It's like,
of course.
There's that one, and now the game's over. I really don't see it swinging the other way, though. It's like it's either a 10 to a 17-point game to me, as opposed to a 3 to a 10-point game. Like I really do feel like Notre Dame at least semi-comfortably wins this thing. Justin Sniper says 42-24. I think I have 45-28. So again, to Mike's point, to Jack's point, USC's offense is good. They're going to score. But I like Notre Dame maybe to convert in some of those short yardage situations that we're going to talk about here in a minute, and like look like the offense that it did in the first few games of the season. Because I still do think that that's Notre Dame's offense. Like it's a good offense. It just has left some points out there, and that's football sometimes.
Yeah, as long as as long as Notre Dame pass protects and takes care of the football, like USC has been a good defense when it gets sacks and turnovers. It hasn't been a good defense when it hasn't.
Which one of you two is doing laundry?
Oh, that's me. Should I stop that?
No, I'm just gonna mute you when Tyler's talking. I just heard it. Okay, so short yardage solutions. Tyler, is it just put in Tyler Buckner on punt team and fake it every single time? Like, what's the solution here?
It was funny rewatching the game today. I almost forgot that they were gonna do it maybe even closer into further into their own territory, and then remember NC State called the timeout and said, "Whoa." And then they actually did do it from the 38, and it worked. No, you're not going to motion into a Tyler Buckner direct snap from a punt formation every time you need to pick up 1 or 2 yards. But maybe you do put Tyler Buckner in more methodically and as a package deal. I'm not totally in on that, but everything else has been so poor up until now that maybe you do need to go that direction. I can see the other argument from the other side on this is like, it's complicated enough. Why would you want to further complicate it by adding Tyler Buckner into this equation? I put out on social media that it might be as simple as just trusting yourself to line up in 12 personnel or even 13 personnel if you get enough tight ends healthy and go straight at the opposition and show that you can pick up 1 or 2 yards the old-fashioned way. But then, again, later in the game, I saw Notre Dame try to do that with Jadarian Price, and he was met by 2 dudes in the backfield instantly, and Notre Dame decides to go for it on 4th down and ends up, whatever that was to Makai Fields. It's such a mess, Jack, that there's people smarter than us calling the shots and making the decisions, and they still don't have the answers. So I'm curious to hear what yours is, because I just threw out 80 million things at you.
First of all, Mike, I'm glad you muted me because my laundry is done buzzer just went off. Extremely professional operation we have going on here in the Soble household. But I like the Rip Jules comment. So tired, Jeremiah Love Wildcat. Wired, Gerby Lambert Wildcat, because the Alabama did that with their 375-pound agile offensive lineman in the Wildcat formation. So I'm only half joking about that because everything should be on the table if you're Notre Dame, including Tyler Buckner package. You're not going to line up in punt formation, but to dismiss that as a consistent solution, I think would be a mistake because you have to consider everything. But the crux of the issue, as we have been saying over and over for a long time, is that Notre Dame, for whatever reason, has been bad at consistently blocking short yardage. Take Jadarian Price getting stuffed for a loss on, what was it, third and 2, 3rd and 1. It became 4th and 3. Eli Raridan, Ashton Craig just got beat. There's no scheming around that. They just got beat. And if you can't consistently trust your offensive line to not do that, there's really not much you can call that would make sense. And NC State knew that. That's why they basically guessed Notre Dame's calls on both those 4th down attempts. So the big issue is that, and also it's not the running backs. It is not on the running backs whatsoever. And Marcus Freeman made that perfectly clear in his press conference. You just gotta block better, and obviously that's not going to get Ashton Craig going down is of course not going to help that issue either, and neither is Charles Jagasaw having his setback in recovery. And Marcus Freeman confirmed, by the way, that he had the second surgery. They do not know when he'll be back.
It just pains me because we have seen Notre Dame block short yardage situations traditionally and successfully. The Jeremiah Love touchdown to open the scoring in this game is a great example of that. And by the way, it's a great example of how much Notre Dame is going to miss Ashton Craig. And there were 80 million of those in this game. As many options as I just threw out in the opening part of this segment of what Notre Dame can or maybe can't do for short yardage, Ashton Craig has just as many examples of him just annihilating people and moving people. Pass game, running game. To me, he was Notre Dame's best offensive lineman to this point in the season, and it stinks that Notre Dame is losing him. Next man up, Joe Otting, we'll see. But I guarantee you, Jack, Mike Denbrock, Marcus Freeman, they get a little more wary of saying, okay, maybe we've been trying too hard with the Wildcat, with some of this other stuff. Maybe we should just line up and run it at teams in short yardage. But now you're not doing that behind Ashton Craig, and you weren't doing it behind Ashton Craig in the first place because you got to all those other answers and, we're going to do this instead. So I think this just further complicates. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but I think missing Ashton Craig even further complicates Notre Dame's what the heck do we do in short yardage situations dilemma, because you're missing the guy that literally starts everything by snapping the ball and you run behind him if you want to go up the middle. It's a headache. I've been having headaches lately, Jack, and this is one of the root causes. I can guarantee you. It's tough to watch. It really is tough to watch.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not the other root cause that you thought it might have been.
Yeah.
It's tough because we there's no obvious solution. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I guess you can try the Buckner package. I'm kind of talking myself into that because like it's a physical runner that they've run that successfully before. Could try to Minchie package too, but you got to try something because what you're doing right now isn't working.
Mike, one sec. I was out on the Minchie thing. That's well documented, but the Tyler Buckner element gives me there's a little something to it for some reason to me. Not just because it just worked on a plunge up the middle, but we've seen this guy do this before, and I think there might be something to that.
He's the closest thing to Leonard that Notre Dame has in its quarterback room as a runner, right? Yeah. Minchie is the best athlete, but what are you going to ask Minchie to run around the edge and do a backflip? Do a backflip over the line like I was arguing with the guy on the message board. Maybe I don't know, but my opinion on this is they just got to find a rhythm and get some confidence. I think if they get one or two, it'll be more of a confidence thing for Denbrock, the play caller, and the offense. I think there's probably a little bit of overthinking, but I think the biggest thing is just kind of stop being too cute and go away from the Wildcat and just get it rolling. That's my opinion on it. Quarterback battle. Let's talk a little Kenny Minchie and CJ Carr. I'm joking. Quarterback battle, Tyler, between USC's quarterback, who's been really good the past couple of years, and Notre Dame's, of course, in Carr.
Yeah, that's a funny one because I do see those two words next to each other, the letters and then the word, and it brings me back. It brings me back to August. But no, this is a serious quarterback battle, in-game quarterback battle, like you said, between CJ Carr and Jaden Mayava. And experience edge, I guess, goes to Mayava because, he started games last year and he was able to carry that into this year. And now he's 6 games into this season and looks really good. I mean, he's in the top 5 in pretty much all the stats that you want him to be in the top 5, and passer rating, yards per attempt, yards per game. But Jack, I thought it was important to put it in the on paper segment that I did for Blue and Gold Illustrated, the magazine, made its way onto the web today on Tuesday. This isn't volume passing for Jaden Mayava. I think he's around 30 attempts per game. So it's more than CJ Carr, but it's effective and efficient. And yes, if you take away Lemon, what is there? But you have to take away Lemon first, Makai Lemon, and teams are not doing that. So 13-2 touchdown interception ratio, which is right on par with CJ Carr's 13-3. Again, all those stats that I just laid out, they're pretty much neck and neck in a lot of those. So it's a real quarterback competition. I think that's the coolest thing about this. And the Notre Dame defense has taken away that element from prior games where we thought maybe CJ Carr gets humbled because he gets outplayed by Taylon Green or CJ Bailey last week, maybe even Maddox Matson. That never happened. Jack, this week it's as real of a possibility that Notre Dame does not have the quarterback edge in this game because Mayava's a little bit more experienced and he's just really, really good. He's hecka talented.
We'll see. I think Mayava is a little bit more mistake prone than Carr. I mean, we have seen Carr make some mistakes, but not as much in the past couple weeks. Mayava, he hasn't thrown a ton of interceptions, but he threw a bad one against Illinois and a really bad one against Michigan State. And I think Notre Dame should be looking at that. Their defense has been really opportunistic. Again, another thing that's really similar to 2023 and 2024. The defense really taking advantage of their turnover opportunities. So that's an advantage, I think, for Notre Dame. We should also say that CJ Carr doesn't care who's lining up at quarterback against him. He's not gonna concern himself with that. And he's been playing really good football, and he still gets better every week. Like every week we see CJ pull something out of his bag, and we're like, "Whoa! I didn't know CJ had that in him." This week it was the lowered arm angle, drops a dime between Raritan over the second level linebacker and under the third level safety. Just really NFL first round level stuff. So I'm really excited to see what CJ pulls out this week because it's just something new every week.
From that standpoint, I do think that CJ might have the edge and just, holy cow, how did that just happen? Mayava's consistent. He's good. He gets USC from point A to point B, and point B being the end zone. Like, they score because of him, and he doesn't inhibit that from happening a whole lot. But CJ Carr might have a little bit more like, hey, how the heck is Notre Dame offense still on the field? Oh, yeah, it's because CJ Carr just did that. And this possession should have been over a long time ago, but Carr's able to do the wow factor type play that keeps the Irish offense in it. One more thing I wanted to say on Mayava, Justin ND Sniper says he's got like a short-term memory. I watched and now this doesn't matter because we're about to talk about Penn State in the next segment, but in the moment, the Oregon Penn State game, I was so impressed with Dante Moore, like unflappable. He was never rattled in that game, in that environment. Don't think for a second that Mayava is going to get rattled by 77,000 at Notre Dame Stadium. It's not going to happen. I think his like level-headedness, the head on his shoulders, he has all of that type of thing. And that's why I'm so excited about this quarterback battle, because CJ Carr has that too. We've seen him go into road environments and not be phased. And then at home, he plays some of his best ball at home. We've seen that over the last couple weeks, and even against Texas A&M to degrees as well. So we're privileged, Jack, to watch two of the best quarterbacks in the country on Saturday night, because I really do think that they're top 10, maybe top 5 in terms of what they've done this season. You have to place them up there pretty highly.
One of the biggest things that I really like about Mayava is how fast he gets the ball out. Like, you wouldn't expect it because of how big he is and how strong his arm is, but he is really the point guard type. Like, he will distribute the ball to USC's playmakers, and that's huge against a Notre Dame defense that thrives off pressure, which means, do you blitz him? I don't think that's a great idea because he gets the ball out fast. Do you play coverage? That's tough because Lemon's going to get open. Like Notre Dame, this team has a lot of ways to beat you, and the crux of it is Mayava because he executes what they asked him to do really well. It's the value of having the not necessarily second year starter because he only started the last couple games, but someone who's had experience in the system, full off season with the same receivers, and you're really seeing the effects right here right now. I would love to look up like the numbers of a second year Lincoln Riley quarterback because it has to be insane.
Yes, that's the last point that I was going to make is when he gets his hands on a guy that he knows like, oh, this is my guy, it becomes like unstoppable. You saw it at Oklahoma. You saw it with Caleb Williams. Like, he just taps into whatever that quarterback has to offer. And typically it's a lot. He's had some really good quarterbacks.
All right. I want to pop this up on the screen. There we go. This is the last topic here. Tweet from On3. I'm pausing the timer. I'm going to talk about this for a minute before I throw it to you guys. Here's the tweet. New Penn State athletic director Pat Kraft plans to take a couple of big swings during the hiring process. One name that he may make a run at is Notre Dame's Marcus Freeman, sources tell Pete Nakos. And I've seen a lot of discourse on the interwebs about this as like this being like a clickbait thing, or like, why would this be reported? It's like, I think the tweet itself is very engagement driven, right? You put this out, it's
engagement driven is one hell of a euphemism.
There you go. Gotta be careful, dude. But like, listen, all it's saying is that Penn State is gonna go after Marcus Freeman. Just like if I was a single guy, I knew someone who knew Jeannie Bouchard, who's like my age, and she's like this big tennis sensation, and she's, a very good looking woman. That would be like me putting out there, hey guys, report Mike Singer's going after Jeannie Bouchard. It's like, Mike, you don't have a chance in hell, but hey, it's a report. It's going after. It's like, it's kind of the same thing. Like Tyler Horka, are you scoring a date with Kate Upton right now? Maybe but you're gonna try. Like, it's the same thing. It's I guess it's news. It's not, but I guess this is a whole lot of nothing for me. But hey, for Penn State, you got to make the call. I heard they're also going to call Don Shula and Nick Saban. But yeah, guys, that's my take. I don't know. I'm guessing that's a pretty tame take, honestly. What do you guys think, Jack?
So with these reports, and I should preface this by saying, like, I don't know who Pete Nakos talks to. I know he does great reporting on this and all other college football matters. But you have to consider who benefits from this information being out there. Because it's definitely not Penn State if they're actually considering making a run at Marcus Freeman. If they actually wanted to do that, they would want to keep it as quiet as possible. Like, I wasn't on the beat at the time, but I remember publicly no one had any idea LSU was closing things with Brian Kelly until it was pretty much already done. Is that incorrect, guys?
Yeah, it was a complete shock.
Yeah.
One quick anecdote that takes 20 seconds here. I was still in California because Notre Dame had just played Stanford. My family lives out there. I extended the weekend. Notre Dame doesn't play a conference championship game the following week, so I've got some time. I've got some time is what I thought. Before I board my flight on the Monday or Tuesday, whenever it was, my best friend texts me and he says, "Hey, look at this. Brian Kelly, LSU. This is a thing." And I was like, yeah, okay. Completely brushed it off. While I was in the air, it happens. So sometimes expect the unexpected, and the craziest thing imaginable can happen. Not saying that happens every time, but like that was one of those situations for sure.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're Penn State and you're actually thinking that this could happen, you're keeping it as quiet as possible. It's like when Mike or another recruiting reporter is told, like, hey, we're working on flipping this kid, but don't put anything out there because you don't want the other team to find out. It's the same principle. So if it's not Penn State, who benefits from this report being out there? It is Freeman's agent who would want to leverage a raise from Notre Dame. I would be stunned if this did not come from Freeman's agent, and I'd be stunned if it's anything more than a leverage play for Notre Dame.
Yeah, and to your original point, you started with the reporting. It's up to Pete to put out what he's hearing from a credible source, and if it is Freeman's agent, that's a credible source. You have to trust that guy. You trust your sources. Pete Nakos is not going to put out anything from anybody that sounds like hullabaloo or whatever. Like, he's only putting out stuff from people that matter. So again, we don't know exactly what channels this is coming from, but yeah, like, and for Notre Dame fans that are getting mad about this, hey man, your head coach might end up making more money at the place that you want him to be from this, and like further entrench his roots and stay here from this. So it's just the way that these things go, man. And like Mike was saying in the beginning, Penn State would be stupid not to make that call. They're making a ton of calls. I just don't see this one happening, because I think we have to invite the other part of the conversation into this. It doesn't seem like Penn State's the place for Marcus Freeman based on the way that Orange Bowl went, and maybe one of the press conferences, and maybe what came out of one of those press conferences that we've heard and has been reported that, Freeman might have said some things. I'll leave all that to the imagination or whatever you've read here, there, and otherwise. But like, look, this would shock me more than Brian Kelly going to LSU. And I was shocked that Brian Kelly went to LSU. Marcus Freeman is not going to be the next head coach at Penn State. I can pretty definitively say that.
Yeah, there's no reason for Marcus to do this aside from Penn State offering him like $100 million a year. He has everything he needs at Notre Dame. I suspect, and from what he said and what we've heard, that he likes coaching the type of kids who come through Notre Dame. He likes developing. He doesn't want to have to recruit 20 transfers every year. He likes the culture that he's built at Notre Dame. Just wouldn't make sense for him to leave what he's built at Notre Dame this quickly for Penn State or really any other job. So
Ohio State, maybe, like the alma mater, maybe.
Yeah, that's so Ohio State, and I don't have any idea whether or not Freeman would entertain Ohio State if it opened up. This is not from anything we know whatsoever. But Ohio State is the only job that if I were a Notre Dame fan, I'd be concerned about. And Ryan Day is not going anywhere anytime soon. So it's Ohio State, maybe the NFL. I could see like This is how I could see the Freeman era actually ending, is if it's a decade from now, and it's Freeman's maybe won a title at Notre Dame, and an NFL team calls and he's like, you know what, I've accomplished a ton at Notre Dame. I'm still like 49, 50 years old, and I'm ready for a new challenge. Then yeah, I could see him leaving down the line. I don't think that's anything to be concerned about anytime soon.
Yeah, to that effect, though, he still hasn't won that title at Notre Dame, and he's only been at Notre Dame for 4 years as the head coach. And I put out the video of him talking about Jadarian Price. That was his press conference moment of the week, I think, was when, this kid has done so much, Jadarian has, for Notre Dame this season, and he, you could tell the way that he was coaching him was like, whoa, okay, if that's what he's saying about one of his best players, then this guy is legit. Because of that, I had people in my mentions like Pittsburgh Steelers next head coach when Mike Tomlin retires, Marcus Freeman, and Baltimore Ravens head coach Marcus Freeman. Like, there's NFL fans right now that see this guy and are like, yeah, I could see that guy being a leader of not college age men, but like full-grown men in the NFL. Marcus Freeman just has that ability to lead.
All I know is I'm looking forward to Tyler asking about this on Thursday.
Yeah, I thought about it today. I don't think I can do it. Not even me.
Should pull out the word hullabaloo when you do.
You like that one?
I think you should use that in the press conference.
I'd leave it for Mike Berardino. I'm sure he'll ask something.
Wow.
Name drop.
I mean, dude, he is
live, Mike.
I know he asks some like bold questions. They're always at the end of the press conference, and sometimes I'm like, and sometimes I'm like, oh, it's always interesting from Mike Berardino. Maybe he's gonna ask Jay Carr's questions about fullbacks in the 350-pound fullbacks or something. Who knows, man? Who knows?
I'm now we think about it, Gerby Lambert Wildcat. That's a real solution.
While we're name dropping people, I listen to The Independent from time to time. It's a good dog walking podcast, and they started talking about that Pete Sampson and Matt Fortuna, and they were like, Gabriel Rubio, is he? And I'm like, no, wait, he's not the guy. Jack, the first one that I thought of was Gerby Lambert. I think Gerby Lambert would be that guy for Notre Dame, the Caden Proctor type.
Mike, didn't Will Black have like a 50-yard touchdown catch last year in high school?
Yeah, I think it's still pinned on our Instagram page.
If you're gonna burn the red shirt of Will Black,
you don't have to burn it. You can do it for 4 games.
Yeah, true.
He's hurt though.
That is true. He is concussed. So
is it concussion? Yeah,
it's a concussion. So it's not a long-term thing, probably.
All right. Jack, by any chance, do you remember what my score prediction was for the USC game? I think I said it on Sunday's show.
I do not.
I don't either. I want to say it was something like 34, 26, 27.
It's in the low score.
I've got a larger spread than Mike Singer this week.
Yeah. That's kind of my thoughts. You guys have what'd you guys do for the magazine, and then do you plan on changing it?
I think I had 42-21 or 42-31 for the magazine, I think.
45-28, and I'm not changing it.
Okay.
I don't think I'll change it.
That might be too many points for Notre Dame, though, just the way that they've left some out there. But I like that 17-point spread somewhere around there.
Okay. Ooh, 7. That's a lot. I like it, though. I like it. All right. How many? We got 31 likes on this video right now. That is absurd. So please smash the thumbs up. Guys, do we have any other closing thoughts before we sign off? No?
I think we're good.
All right. Next live show is Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Horka's joining me, right, Tyler? Okay, Horka's joining us. And then the other guy who's going to be joining us is blowing up my phone right now. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll tweet out who it is tomorrow. Ooh. It's not like a shock. Ooh, I gotta leave a little suspense. It's gonna be a fun one. So yeah, folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll see you live tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all for tuning in for a show that was on a different day and a different time. If you're just tuning in, rewind, watch from the beginning. Really appreciate everyone, and as always, we'll catch you next time.